Hi there, and welcome to episode 31 of the Lorefield podcast, the podcast for Starfield lore and news. With Starfield now having gone gold, review codes have been distributed to journalists, streamers, and other creators. They're under embargo until midday on August 31st, but some of their impressions are still weaseling their way into the public conversation. We'll review and react to the spoiler-free comments that are out there, and also get to know our first-time guest. Joining us today is Jason, who was randomly selected about a month ago as the winner of our Starfield giveaway. So, future owner of Starfield, Jason, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm
pretty excited.
Awesome, man. Awesome, man. Good to have you here. We've got some questions lined up for you, including your experience with Bethesda Game Studios and why you're excited for Starfield. And I think you're going to have a great perspective on this, not previously seen on the show. I'm also joined by...
Oh, God.
I apologize for the Discord notifications. I'm getting DMs from what looks like a brand new account. Oh, it's Todd Howard.
Oh, wow, Todd! Hey!
DMing me on Discord. He said, "You share a voice call with the one I think of. I will always be there for him through all 1,000 planets. Remind him that through all trials and tribulations, he will forever be a YouTuber."
Wow, listen, Todd, I'm gonna be hanging out next week. I'll be hanging out on Jemison. If you wanna sync up a bit, I'll be there. Listen, registered UN citizen, soon to be at least. So proud supporter of all that, of the Vanguard. Right? Come on, we can hang out. Let's go. I'll meet you.
Wonderful. Wow, he always times it so well.
It's incredible. And I mean, it's amazing he got last time with the live stream. He was on time with the messenger pigeon too. Like that was impressive.
That was the most impressive one, I gotta say. This was instant messaging. Yeah, it was okay. That doesn't top the messenger pigeon. I am your host, Mitch, exploring the Starfield with you today. Lexi is on holiday this week. She's taking advantage of these final weeks of opportunity to go outside. We won't be doing that much after a couple weeks from now, so she's doing that while she can. But she'll be back with us soon. Hope you're having a great time, Lex. We're going to lead off today by talking about the Starfield review codes. And now there was a selection process, an application and selection process done on the part of Bethesda. So not everybody who wanted one got one. Some people got snubbed. DeMarco.
Stop.
But yeah, so a bunch of people, journalists, streamers, the like, have their hands on the game, and they're under embargo until the end of the month. But some people are kind of breaking the embargo. One of them is Tyler McVicker. Now, Tyler McVicker is somebody who's been in like the gaming influencing / journalism scene for a very long time. He was covering Valve for a very long time, and now he's kind of expanded out. But on his Discord server, he said a few things about the game. He said, "It starts slow and it tries not to overwhelm you with the sheer number of systems and choices, but it gets a bit overwhelming." He said there are about 6 hours of tutorials. So it might get a little slow, but the really good advice he had for new players was to set aside plenty of time for that first session so that you're not kind of overwhelming yourself straight out of the gate.
Wow.
I know that's... Yeah.
Does he have experience with Bethesda games? Is that coming from someone who's never picked up a Bethesda game and is like, I don't know how to, like, because for that moment when you get, and you know it too, Bismarck, where you get to the opening of the game and it says, all right, go do whatever, and you play a Bethesda game for the first time, you go, what do you mean? I don't understand. Like, is that part of it? That would be my question.
So I think with Tyler McVicker, he does have experience with Bethesda games.
Okay.
And he's actually somebody I had an hour-long conversation with a couple of years ago. And I know that there were actually gameplay clips he had been shown that to this day haven't gotten out, just from like what he described. So I know that he has like information that's not in the public domain about Bethesda games. And from what I was talking, he was actually playing Fallout 76 while I talked to him. So I do know he has plenty of experience with Bethesda Game Studios. So I think it might just be that the learning curve, even compared to their previous games, is just that steep.
I wonder what that would be for. Because obviously the gunplay, everyone's saying, looks very similar, right? And the shipbuilding is entirely new. and the settlement building is new, but I look to me familiar enough. So I wonder actually what aspects would be going into that.
If I had to guess, it would be things like the persuasion minigame, which is pretty novel.
Yeah,
to
okay,
Bethesda.
yeah.
And also the leveling system, which seems to be like a hybrid between Elder Scrolls and Fallout.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I've been thinking of it, at least.
But even that, and I don't know, maybe either of you could kind of jump in, but even with the persuasion system in particular, that's something when they showed it off. You remember that little tiny clip at the first one they showed, and we kind of got to see exactly what it looked like for the first time. Even that, I was able to watch it a couple times and go, okay, I understand how this works. I understand completely. Did either of you have a similar feeling?
Well, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you said you haven't really been watching Starfield stuff, right?
I heard Space Bethesda and I was already interested, and I'm not huge on spoilers, so I have tried to keep like pretty I'll keep seeing clips. I've listened to the podcast a few times. So I kind of have some knowledge in it, but far as far as I know, yeah, it'd probably work a lot like somewhere in between Skyrim or Fallout or hybrid of them,
Mm-hmm.
Sure, yeah. I gotta say, I kind of envy being in your position because like we've been living this game for like 3 years, and to just come in and like just know Space Bethesda, and
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh,
You see one trailer and go, oh, that's cool. And
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, and it's like the trailer where it's just like the name opens, No, I'm just kidding. No, I've seen like the jump pack where he uses the jump pack and then shoots at the other guys. I've seen that. I've seen bits and pieces. It was some clip about like the ship building, and it looked like a giant like Megazord taking off, and I was like, all right, that's pretty cool, So I've
you haven't
seen
watched the
some,
whole direct through?
I don't know too much of like any of the mechanics or anything, but I just assumed it was Bethesda, which I know, all the Fallouts. I know, Elder Scrolls, and so I just assumed I'm familiar enough with it, and it's in space now, and you can build a ship, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. I'm in.
I'm honestly so jealous because that's gonna make things like the step out moment in a Bethesda game when they first like reveal the world to you. It's gonna be so much more. It's gonna be so much more special for you than like people like us who have watched the Starfield Direct dozens of times over and over again. Like, you know what I mean? We haven't like we've analyzed it so much that I think there's gonna be a bit less magic when we experience that for the first time.
Yeah, I agree. And like in Fallout 4, where you're going through the test, like in your house by the salesman at the door, I was like, man, this is so boring. And then obviously the next part happens when you're like running to the vault, and I was like, oh, this is so like totally worth it. Yeah.
So were you the same? Obviously, we'll be talking about your experience with Bethesda games later, but were you the same with Fallout 4 or Skyrim, where you had not tuned into really any of it, but you said, hey, listen, I like other Bethesda games, so this one, cool?
So we'll get into it later, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for the most part, I had played Fallout 1 and 2 for like PC, like in the 90s, so I was familiar with those. And then I had played, I forget if it was Morrowind or Oblivion, but I didn't even know that was Bethesda yet, you know what I mean? So when Fallout 3 dropped, I was so interested because I just knew I loved those games. And then it was more like an action RPG instead of the turn-based. And I'm like, all right, that's pretty cool. And the VAT system they had was still really cool in Fallout 3. So I just saw like Fallout 3 with the helmet, and I was in,
Nice. Yeah, so there's a bit of a tease for the upcoming segment into sort of your perspective on Bethesda. So there you go. That's
Yeah.
That's why I'm thinking ahead.
Definitely.
I mean, if there's anything you want to go over, I don't mind. Like, any.
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome,
yeah.
awesome.
I don't want to hinder anyone else because I've gone.
No worries.
Yeah, none at all.
Cool.
We've got some other comments here from Tyler McVicker, and we're staying spoiler free. So this will be a spoiler free show until some date after launch, and we'll make it very, very clear when we talk about spoilers. So everything that we're going to cover here today is completely spoiler free for Starfield. Although I will say there are spoilers out there, so be very vigilant when you're crawling the web, looking at Starfield threads, because some, including the comments on this show, we'll remove spoilers if we see them. Just bad actors coming in trying to ruin it for people.
Yeah.
But we can't be on top of it right away. So just want to say to our audience, be careful out there if you're trying to keep the game from getting spoiled for you.
Bolder than I am, I have made a pledge to just try to stay out of my comment sections as much as my brain can handle. Because I have a bad addiction right now to social media.
Don't we all? But yeah, that's tough. But Tyler McVicker, after talking about that kind of slow intro, which is not a critique, but he did talk about that kind of being slower paced, it gets very good. And he said the main story had great things to say about that. He also said, I think this is extremely interesting, he said, it's mind-blowing how good this game looks for it being Creation Engine. Which, I mean, we kind of saw that in the direct, but just to hear somebody who's playing the game say out loud, and somebody who's been critical of Bethesda as well, I thought that was pretty remarkable. He said, this game is something I'll tell you, he said to one of his community members. And he also said he's 15 hours in and has not experienced a single bug so far, which doesn't even sound like Bethesda, to be honest.
This is the, listen, if this is the Microsoft, this is what everyone wanted, right? They said Microsoft's coming in, they're buying it, give us that polished experience, and if that's actually where some of the benefit came in, then thank you, Microsoft. Like, round of applause for your teams for helping out there.
Absolutely. So Tyler McVicker had that to say. There was also some comments, well, not really some comments, some implications from Paris, who's a big Xbox influencer he's on Kind of Funny a lot. He's a great podcaster. I love Paris. He tweeted, he has only tweeted once since announcing his receipt of a Starfield code, which is so funny.
I think that might be more than Maddie, though. I don't know that for certain, but I think that might be one more time than Maddie's tweeted since he got the code. Yeah. Don't quote me on that. I haven't fact checked it, but I don't remember seeing any tweets from Maddie lately.
Everyone with a code just drops off the face of the earth.
More or less, that's what it seems like, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, they got 1,000 other planets now, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're basically doing what we're all going to be doing just 2 weeks early.
Oh,
so
for sure.
it's like a preview of our lives. But that one tweet Paris made was a GIF of somebody waking up, and it looked as though they'd had a very long and late night.
like a late night, or like a late night.
It's like a girl waking up and her hair was all messy, and she was like, "Where the heck am I?" That sort of thing.
Late night. All right, I get you.
Yeah.
With Starfield.
So, I think that was Paris alluding that he couldn't put Starfield down the night before.
I wonder what planet got him in that mood.
Jemison, maybe? I don't know. And then there's also a streamer named Kid Smooth who just tweeted, he also has a code, and he tweeted just, "I sincerely apologize for my 30 FPS slander." I thought this was a good one. Because that's been one of the points of contention about Starfield, is that there's no performance mode. Here's Kid Smooth saying, I kind of gave Starfield heck for being 30 FPS, and I don't see it as a problem, effectively, is how I'm reading that tweet.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever thought that was kind of something, when you might not even have heard about that, actually, come to think of it, Bismarck, but have you ever looked at that and went, damn, I feel, I'm gonna guess no.
Actually, yeah. I don't know about like the performance and stuff. So I did see that, and I did, but I guess I kind of trusted that they did it for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
So initially I was like, oh, but then I was like, well, I'm still gonna play it. They had to have done it for a reason, you know?
Well, you
So,
know, it sounds kind of crappy, but it's all right. I'll do it anyway. Like, oh man, Todd. No, actually, I'm not gonna go. I was gonna say, like, Todd just robbed my house. I'll still play Starfield. It's fine.
basically, right? Yeah.
Oh man, I love that take.
To the dude.
I love that take because I was kind of in the same boat. Like, oh man, I wish there would be a performance mode there. But I love that idea of just they're the professionals. They know what they're doing.
Right.
They know what will complete their vision. Yeah, I love that.
Mm-hmm. No, that's cool. It's a lot. Only positive things so far.
The only positive thing so far. What do you mean by that?
No, you've only said positive things so far.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I misheard the tense. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there are only yeah, that's kind of the overarching theme here, isn't it? Is that very good reactions from people, kind of saying something without saying anything and breaking that embargo. It's all been like, whoa, this is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try not to judge it until I experience it, right? Because I mean, the trailers don't always do it justice, but then also they show all the best parts sometimes, you know? So it's just like, I'll wait to experience it for myself. And so like all the review bombs, I'll never look at those, you know? Because that's another thing, like with not wanting spoilers, I also don't want to really get too much into anyone's opinion because that'll ruin your experience too, because then you're in that mindset, and then you experience, and then maybe that's all you could see, but so you don't get your real experience because you're going through someone else's eye, you know?
Yeah, completely. Sure. It's you're if someone points out a flaw, then you would notice it almost right away. Someone says, "Oh, I found like this issue with this particular," let's argument's sake, like this rifle sound was terrible, and now you find that rifle and you're using it and it looks really cool, and then you're using it and you go, actually it does sound pretty. It sounds like doo-doo. But you would have never thought that if you didn't hear it from someone else.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe you just would have been excited you had that rifle.
Exactly.
Know? Sure, it's got a sound to it, but don't they all? I don't know.
Yeah. I've got a story that's kind of adjacent to this. When Star Wars The Force Awakens came out, I was so excited for that movie because I was a huge Star Wars kid. And I was seeing that movie kind of the night, it was like a midnight showing the night before, or it was like 7 p.m. the night before. It was like I was one of the first people in the public to see it, just because of the showing I was at. And I was reading reviews from critics before I saw it, and one of those reviews said Luke dies at the end. And it was just a troll job. Of course, almost a decade after that movie, we now know Luke doesn't die in that movie. But the whole time, I was bracing myself for the scene when Luke dies. And I don't think you even see Luke until the very end, and he doesn't die. But it kind of altered my experience of seeing that movie for the first time, coming in with this expectation that I was going to see an important character die when really a different important character died. And it was. That I think that's sort of what might be happening here with Starfield. If you kind of look too much into people's reactions before you play the game, you might get those preconceived notions, and it'll just twist that experience a little bit, and that's not good.
Yeah, I've always found the healthiest mindset for me has always been, you watch a review and you just kind of take the sentiment away, more than the specifics of what is being said. So yeah, okay, you thought X, Y, and Z, great, cool, whatever. But I see that you're saying 90% of this review with this big old smile on your face, and I see 10% with a big old sourpuss on your face. So I know generally how the game is, and like based on the clips that they play, and there's just the general tone and the diction and all that stuff. That's usually my personal takeaway from reviews. But I will say, there's reports out there from, and I think folks such as Charlene Hazard, she works at Santa Monica, California, Alana Pierce, a lot of peers has even said who worked at some of these, or had connections at the very least, some of these companies, that reviews don't actually influence a lot of people's purchasing decisions too. They don't have as much of an impact as we think they do.
On the creative process?
On people purchasing, the purchasing decision.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay.
And there are a lot of reviews where you could just read them and you could tell like they already didn't like it for whatever reason, or they're just so upset about like one thing that maybe doesn't even matter to you, or like it's like, yeah, I don't know, review. Some people with their reviews are just silly, I think. But
yeah, absolutely.
Or you could tell it was their specific experience because of something they did, or like they deleted the wrong item and now they're trying to take it out on the game, and it's just like, no, that was just you. So there's no reason to give the game 1 star. You did it. Right?
Sorry that you're an idiot.
Yeah.
I think there was a Nintendo game a couple years ago that was getting kind of bad reviews, and I think it was Miyamoto that put out a quote that was like, sometimes reviews are not a reflection of the quality of the game, but a reflection of the abilities of the reviewer, or something like that.
Yeah, I would totally back that.
That was the big dilemma with the Souls games, wasn't it? That was always the thing. Like, people were questioning reviews because of Souls games. They're like, you should not be playing it and reviewing it because you're not the audience for this game. Like, that's a whole different dilemma. But
yeah,
sure. But yeah, that's kind of funny. So Bismarck, we've got you on the show here. You're going to obtain a copy of Starfield on September 6th, and I want to hear your Bethesda story, is what we call it. We do this little segment for every single guest we have on this show. And we just open the floor to our guests completely to talk about their first experience with a Bethesda game, all the way through that story of how you discovered them, what you loved about them, eventually leading to what made you excited for Starfield, and that sort of thing, this current era, so to speak, of your Bethesda story. Some people have taken under 2 minutes to tell this story. Some people, Red Wolf, have taken half an hour. So take as much time as you need. Looking forward to hearing this, and can't wait to hear your story.
Well, my first Bethesda game, I forget if it was Morrowind or Oblivion.
There is a right answer here.
So I forget which one it was. Probably Oblivion, but I didn't get too far into it. There was like a shack with like a witch in front of it, and I knew the witch was higher level than me. So, but I wanted in that shack, so I just like snuck into the shack, and then I raided the shack, did whatever I was looking for, and then anytime I left the shack, she would just kill me. So that was my very first, but that I gave up after, quite a few tries.
Did you try turning down the difficulty?
I don't think I got into it like that.
DeMarco, we're so far removed from this.
Yeah, I think there was just too much. I think it was already like I was level 6 and maybe, whatever wizard or whatever was like level 20. So there was just no way I could get past without getting one shot.
Mm-hmm.
So I did kind of leave that. I don't think I even started another game. And then did Skyrim or Fallout 3 come out first?
Fallout 3.
Fallout 3? Okay, so like I said, I had experience with Fallout 1 and 2, so I was really pumped for Fallout 3, and I absolutely loved it, and I don't think I left a stone unturned in that game. And then, so Skyrim came out, and I do like, old medieval fantasy games and stuff, and dragons, so I was definitely interested. So again, another Bethesda game where I don't think I left a stone unturned. I In that game I really love finding the old, like, the demonic pieces of armor and the swords, like hunting down where those were and stuff. That was probably my favorite part of the game. And then so yeah, all the other Fallouts I've played, and I tried Elder Scrolls Online for a little bit. Didn't get crazy. I had like a small crew I was running with in it, so that helped a little bit. But yeah, and then so all the Fallouts, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, that's kind of along the lines of like the Elder Scrolls Online, where I didn't get too much into it.
Right.
Just it. I think I don't know. I don't know what it is with those games, if it's like too overwhelming or just I don't know. But yeah, and then Bethesda had me sold, basically,
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Is there a particular, Mitch, I know that you have a slew of questions. I want to get one in.
Yeah.
Is there a particular quest or particular, this might even be one of them, or a particular memory that kind of stands out to you from any of these games in particular?
Fallout 4, like I said, that running to the vault, that scene was that was a really cool scene. But in any of the Fallouts, finally leaving the vault for the first time is always really cool. And then I think the Fallout games specifically, I just love the environment, the theme and everything to them, that I just so back to Skyrim. I forgot about this part. So I think I was definitely underleveled, and it was my first time seeing a giant. And the quest I was on was like on the other side of the giant. So there was this big rock, so I climbed the rock and I just started shooting arrows to hopefully, because as soon as he saw me, he'd run toward me. So I finally got on top of this big rock and I was trying to just shoot arrows at him, but you couldn't even tell they were doing anything to him. So I was like, all right, I just got to run for it. As soon as I jumped down, I think I was running yeah. I think I was running like two-handed swords and bows or something. So I jumped down. He catches up with me, and I see his club raise, so I just block. And then next thing I know, I'm like just ragdoll in the sky. And then when I finally hit the ground, I actually went under the ground. But so I was just stuck. But that one I did reload, and I obviously didn't go that way. And I found other things to do to get leveled up, and I didn't let that experience ruin it. But I actually thought that was absolutely hilarious.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you know that was actually a bug?
No.
So the giants launching you, and because they could do it to NPCs too, but them launching you like that is actually a bug. And if I remember correctly, they had taken it out, and then everybody wanted it back in, so they patched it back in so that they could...
Oh, nice.
And I'm waiting to see, somebody just make a meme. I've already seen the ones where they do that dun 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 dun, dun of the thing ragdolling after they get hit.
Okay.
Shooting stars, I think it's called. But I'm waiting to see someone do a cool thing with them launching the Skyrim character into space and then seeing the Dragonborn on a starship or flying through space or something.
Oh, that
in Starfield though. That would be wonderful.
They land on the cockpit or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a fly on the windshield.
Yeah.
Waiting for that.
And it could take your save file to throw your character up there, right?
that would be some interesting tech. If you find out how to do that, please let me know.
Well, I just know they've done stuff like that with old save files from the same game or whatever, like Mass Effect or whatever. Your Mass Effect 1 storyline affected Mass Effect 2 or whatever it was. Yeah.
Probably smart of you not to go back that way again after getting launched the
Oh
first
yeah,
time.
yeah, for sure. I took some time to laugh that one off, but yeah.
So I thought it was interesting how you talked about your experience with Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76 not being quite up to the same standard maybe that you were used to with the previous games. And I think that's an experience probably DeMarco and I shared, at least with Fallout 76. DeMarco, is that fair to say?
It was definitely not the game for me.
It just
Yeah.
yeah, it just felt like there was almost like it was the same game but like without the soul almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like almost like a shell of a game, I guess would be a way to say it. Like it was just uh like in Elder Scrolls Online, it was just more about how much map you had and not necessarily about anything else. I guess I don't really know how to explain it, but yeah, it just
No,
felt
it's
like
like getting the
the
two
shell
end
of the
pieces of bread
game. Yeah,
and nothing else.
yeah,
Or getting a box of Lucky Charms without any of the marshmallows.
yeah,
So
yeah. Like you could, yeah.
sorry,
No,
I was just curious if your experience with those games, how that impacted your excitement for Starfield. If you're now more excited because now this is Bethesda like coming back to their single player roots, or if it's like, well, these last two games I played weren't really what I was used to from them. So does it make you more wary about Starfield or does it make you more excited?
um, it. I don't think it affected it. I think just Starfield has me so interested that and obviously all the positive experience I've had with all the other Bethesda games that and I will say the whole shack and the wizard outside thing that didn't I knew that was on me. I didn't blame the game for that at all. That was it was totally something I did. So I wasn't holding the game accountable. I was just like over it, you know?
Yeah, just
Sure.
just went outside
Yeah.
and smashed the disc in the console, but it wasn't the game's
Yeah.
fault.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So would it sound like maybe Fallout 3 is your favorite Bethesda game? Is that right?
Uh, I I could put Fallout 3, New Vegas, and Fallout 4 all in the same, uh, you know, all the favorite basically. Like
Nice.
I don't think really one of them really sticks out. They all have they're all great. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Totally.
Uh, yeah, I getting the power armor and uh, well, Fallout 4 for the craftability, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like being able to build your whole town or whatever, and then storing all your power armor and like Iron Man suits was really cool.
So did you like do a lot of the settlement system in Fallout 4?
Not too much.
Okay.
Uh, I built a house and then like the blank slate next to it, I think is just where I stashed all the power. I just
Right.
had all the power armor stands and power armor, so I didn't even have to go inside anywhere. I just walked up to it,
Mhm.
jumped in, and took off. You know. But I enjoyed it. I just probably some other game came out, so I kind of left it as
Gotcha.
is. You know,
Yeah,
Sure.
totally.
I'd already beat it, probably on my second or third playthrough, and then just left it
Mm-hmm.
because I usually do like one based on guns, one based on melee or something.
Right. Yeah, I only ask because I know that there's some people who are absolutely in love with the building system and the settlement system in Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, and so once they're looking at Starfield, they're going, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" But not for the same reasons that I look at it and go, "It's amazing." Where I'm looking at the single player and I'm looking at the quests and the factions because I love the factions in these Bethesda games. It's my favorite part.
Yeah.
But they're looking at the outpost building and going, "Yes!" And
Yeah.
I think that's so fascinating that there really is something for anybody.
Yeah. I would definitely say the ship crafting
Mhm.
has me more sold than like the base building. But Definitely along the Fallout lines, all the different interactions with all the different factions or now religions or uh yeah, it's got me pretty hooked. So
Do you have a
I'm
name for your
excited.
ship picked out?
Name for the ship? No, not yet.
Gotcha. Do you have a name for your
Um,
first character?
I was thinking something like Tom Foolery.
Tomfoolery. Oh, that's great. And then I guess to build off that, do you have like an idea for the build you want to go with for your first character?
I was probably gonna do something um, charismatic, gun-toting, some smuggler or something. Probably like a Han Solo esque.
I
That
wonder
sounds
how many.
perfect for
Yeah,
tomfoolery.
yeah.
I wonder how many Han Solos are gonna be out there exploring
Oh,
the
probably.
stars. It's
I know that's not an original idea, but
yeah.
it'll be fun.
I was really looking forward to. I really like for ship names, Outer Worlds. Let me just tell you that Outer Worlds humor was just right up my alley in so many aspects. And while there's things I didn't like about the game, I love, for example, the concept of the unreliable being the name of the ship. So I was
Oh,
thinking, as like an allusion to that, I would name my first ship name the Uneventful, just
there
because
you go.
I love the idea of the just the very plain sarcasm of the name versus what you're actually doing with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the uneventful is exploring 1,000 planets, getting in dogfights every 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Right, right.
So I'm gonna be piloting the Uneventful with my character. Alan Grissom, was it? Yeah, I took the first name of Alan Shepard and the last name of Gus Grissom. So Alan
Oh, cool.
Grissom and the Uneventful, flying and discovering the stars.
Nice.
I um could go back to Spaceballs for ship names or like could go that way with the characters too.
There you go. Now you're thinking.
Yeah.
Now we're brainstorming.
Oh man. Since you've shared your ships, I'll share mine too. I'm probably gonna name mine probably the Alex A after the Starfield fan who passed away. Because I'm not very creative with those things. You can name your ship, you can name your character. I always name my Bethesda characters Mitch. Like I don't get real creative with that stuff. So that story really resonated with me. So I'll probably just name my ship the Alex Hay.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
I definitely pull from like other things to give characters names or something, so like there's a band Norma Jean, so I'll use that for a name of a character, and I think that was like Elder Scrolls Online or something, and then like yeah, just I definitely pull from other things I'm interested in for naming or whatever.
Yeah, I think I always go the if either of you watch Go for Vids, and his Let's Plays, I think I go kind of his route where he's like Leonard, Will, like the most plain what Leonard, Will, Jack was his Fallout New Vegas character, Richard was another one, like just the most simple names, but then they have this epic story that they're going on, so you're like, oh yeah, man, Richard
Right,
is
right.
like having the time of his life and slaying dragons and stealing their souls. It's like, okay. Man, did you see Jack just liberated the entirety of New Vegas?
I have a good buddy who made a Skyrim character, and it was a Khajiit that ran heavy armor, two-handed weapons, total badass of a character, and it was a Khajiit. He named it Mittens.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
lo-
That's great.
I love it. That's
Yeah.
actually, yeah, it's the best. I love that kind of stuff. I'm a sucker for it. I love it. That's my humor right there.
Yeah. So, seeing as our last episode was only 2 days ago, we actually don't have too much on the agenda. Just really wanted to get Jason on the story. I was super excited to hear your story. And I think we can actually move on to our final major segment of the show, which is our recommendations. And I'm realizing now, Jason,
one topic actually.
please.
Okay,
go
all right,
right
all right,
ahead.
all right. So, EUCLA, is that it? UECLA?
I have no idea.
There is some things going around that are saying that it's referencing the possibility of Creation Club making a return to Starfield. Now, I am not surprised, and in fact, I suspected that Creation Club would always come back to Starfield, or come back to Bethesda games, and I'm actually in support of it, believe it or not. I think that it can be a good thing, both for the developers, Bethesda, and for modders, because of course that's what it is. It is paid mods. And I think there can be a very positive symbiotic relationship there. The big issue that I've always seen with it is the pricing structure is out of control when you're spending $5 for a single Pip-Boy skin. And I actually have an old video where I did the math and just weighed out how ridiculous the prices can be for that type of stuff. But I've always thought it could be potentially awesome, especially if you had meteor size things, not here's a dwarven mud crab. Instead, here is what they were trying to do with the Fallout 3, where you go back to Galaxy News Radio. So I don't know if either of you have any thoughts towards Creation Club or its possible return.
So that thing you're referring to alluded to a type of currency, right? Wasn't it creation credits?
Yes, you had to buy credits. You had to buy credits in order to then buy the packs, and it was one of those things where you always have a little bit leftover credits, or you can't buy enough, so you need to buy the higher pack, and it was one of those situations.
Okay, that sounds like it could be a solution to the pricing problem. If they make just those single item skins like 40 creation credits, but then maybe a new quest is like 2,000. I think there's that allows more room for them to be a bit more fair with that pricing structure and amend it to be better for the consumer.
Yeah, I didn't know if you had any just general feelings towards it, or if you're like, how are they bringing it back? How do they do this? Or you're like, it is what it is.
So that, like in Fallout 4, there's the extra skins you could get. Is that what you're talking about, basically?
Yeah, it was the general marketplace directly on Bethesda's site or when you launched the game.
It was all mostly cosmetic.
Mostly, yeah. Well, there were some mostly cosmetic. There were some new weapons that it would add. There was actually survival mode was lumped into Creation Club for Skyrim. There was a lot of armor sets, so you could say it is cosmetic, but the armor actually has its own stats, but I think they often paralleled. Like, if you got armor through the Creation Club, it'd be the same as, say, the steel armor in Skyrim.
Right, just
visually different, yeah.
I mean, if I know I dabbled in Fallout 4 with it a little, I picked up a couple of the packs here and there, so I definitely see. As far as pricing, I mean, I don't know what goes into creating something like that, so it'd be hard for me to really say. But I do think it's right, like $5 for a Pip-Boy skin. That, I mean, how often are you looking at that thing?
Mm-hmm.
So.
I'm just making up prices, by the way. I don't know if that's actually what
okay.
I don't know if that's actually what the skin costs. I just know that often when I personally looked at it, I'm speaking purely for myself, I would look at it and go, man, that'd be cool to have. Like, I'd see a cool armor set or I'd see a cool thing. Go, man, that'd be awesome to have, but I'm not shelling out that much money for it, personally.
Like if they did it like Grand Theft Auto did it, where they just use that money to put back into the game,
mm-hmm.
to then all the DLCs are now free and stuff. I'm all for it.
Okay.
But like, if it's like how Destiny does it, where that doesn't seem to affect the price of anything else, then prices could be a lot better. I think if that money's not going back into the game, then.
Right. Yeah, it's actually going to the mod makers. Part of it, at least.
Oh, well, that's good too, then.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Was it ever made public what that cut is that the modders get?
Oh boy, this is when we need Lexi, isn't it? She would just she'd be like, oh yeah, it was exactly this. I do believe that it was made public. However, I can't tell you. And I think that the revenue split was pretty fair. If
My
I
brain is
remember
telling
correctly.
me 20%, but I don't.
To the modder?
Yeah.
Okay, then maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about.
that's just my brain concocting something. I don't know if that's based in any sort of reality.
I wonder if they could pick to have a certain percent of that in-game credits or something, Just,
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Jason, I love that perspective you brought up of comparing it to like GTA, where the money goes back into the game.
Yeah.
Like, because we know Starfield's going to have expansions. Every Bethesda game does. How cool would it be if Creation Club really took off and they made some DLC free to the players? I love that idea. That'd be really cool.
I think, yeah, I played GTA Online, and I even bought into it a little bit, But the fact that they were able to then take that and use it for all the DLCs or all the, all the extra content, I thought was great because they knew people were going to keep putting money into it. So, yeah.
And that's why we don't have GTA 6, because it's such a money-making machine still.
It is churning.
Oh, for sure. And even Red Dead Redemption 2 online, I don't think even like scratched what GTA 5 was still doing, or probably is even still doing. I will say the GTA Online did feel better than Red Dead Redemption Online, and Red Dead Redemption just felt more like a, the story-driven aspect. The offline part was way better than the online ever could be, really.
I agree. So, I attribute that to GTA being in the modern day setting and even beyond modern day, because you can have people in like flying motorcycles and fighter jets and stuff, and the setting doesn't allow that in Red Dead. You're just stuck with traditional guns and horses. So I think the online can't get as crazy.
What do you mean I can't strap a rocket to my horse?
Right.
Exactly.
On electric cars,
Yeah, that's true. Did you know electric cars are actually older than gas-powered cars?
Yeah, and they'd use them because they wouldn't scare the horses. So they actually favored them over gas-powered cars or steam cars because they didn't make the noise to scare the horses. But then the battery technology wasn't there.
Holy crap. Wow.
What a history lesson this has been.
Yeah, that's great. I didn't know that.
History field. No, I'm just kidding.
History field.
That is some lore. That is some lore for you. I wonder if that'll come up in Starfield at all. The use of electric rocket ships versus it doesn't scare the space whales.
Yeah.
Space. Don't call me that.
You're right. I'm sorry. I take it back. I was talking about Red.
So I think we can move on now to our last major segment of the show. And Jason, I really apologize for not giving you a heads up on this beforehand, but it's our recommendations. So basically, for every show we're doing leading up to Starfield's release, we close the show by recommending something that might scratch the Starfield itch. And that can be like a movie, a book, a game, a musical album, like anything you're feeling that kind of gets you in the mood for Starfield that you think might do that to other people. Would love to hear it. So because I didn't give you a forewarning about this, we'll have you go last just so you have some time to think. DeMarco, do you have something for us?
Yeah, I really just love turning on a good old DeMarco Dude video, sitting down, watching the whole thing to the end. No. My recommendation for this week is actually to sit down and watch the movie Interstellar. And I know that's like a cliche. I feel like it's a cliche sci-fi movie in a way, or it's at least an overrated one or an overhyped one. But I genuinely think it would be probably something like 2001: A Space Odyssey, but I haven't watched that, so I will, but I haven't yet. So I would absolutely just sit down, get that sci-fi fix, and I think a film like Interstellar, because it's a lot more modern, it's very digestible, it has the good visuals aspect to it as well. That's something that could definitely get you into that mindset, or alternatively, listen to the Oppenheimer soundtrack.
Ooh. Okay.
If you don't want a cliche sci-fi movie, I will tell you, I am at work, Oppenheimer soundtrack. Driving in the car, Oppenheimer soundtrack. Right now, Oppenheimer soundtrack. Editing video. I am obsessed. I don't know what it is about it. But the composer, I think his name is Gustav. He just absolutely knocked it out of the park, and I'm obsessed, and I would love for other people to come back and be like, actually that was good, or actually I hate it. That's fine. It's personal opinion, but if you don't like it, you're wrong, and I hate you.
That's great. Love it. So, Interstellar and Oppenheimer soundtrack.
There you go.
Very good. Love it. So mine on this episode is going to be a very, very classic old sci-fi movie, and that is Plan 9 from Outer Space. Have either of you heard of that movie?
Nope.
No, good. It's very like classic 1950s sci-fi. Its biggest claim to fame, basically, is that it's regarded as one of the worst movies of all time.
Interesting. Go on, please, before I cut you off.
It's what one of the crazier parts about it is that the actor for the villain in the movie died during production, so they got someone else to stand in for him, and he's like a vampire type guy, so for all of his scenes after the actor died, he's covering his face with a cape like this, so you can't make out that it's someone else. It's just stuff like that. There's also a character who's like a sheriff detective kind of guy, law enforcement, and he's having a conversation during one of the scenes, and he pushes up the brim of his hat with his gun. Like it's just stuff they didn't think through. When there are flying saucers, you can see the strings hanging down from above the shot.
And this is your recommendation?
It is just it's sci-fi, but it's more of a comedy, an unintentional comedic experience is how I would describe Plan 9 from Outer Space.
I love it.
It's one of those, like, it's so bad that you should probably see it at least once in your life.
Mm-hmm. Totally feel it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna give you a little bit of extra time to think if you didn't already think. But have you been playing Baldur's Gate 3 and you can't get enough of it and you need more D&D? Well, let me just tell you about Spelljammer Adventures in Space, the D&D adventure that puts you on an airship where you go. Now, I haven't played it. I have all 3 books. I haven't done any adventures in space yet, but if you've been playing Baldur's Gate, which is a phenomenal game, you should play it. 10 out of 10, best RPG of all time. Maybe. I don't know. I haven't finished it yet. Now you can play D&D in space. So there, you need something to hold you over till Starfield. You just need a friend and someone who understands the rules of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and you're good to go.
Oh, cool. I gotta say, when you brought up Baldur's Gate 3, I thought that was going in a completely different direction. I thought it was going to be tune in on Thursdays at 5:30 p.m.
Do how shameless do you think? I already did that joke. I can't do it twice.
Oh, that's good. Jason, do you have something for us? A recommendation for Starfield?
Well, for movies, we take it back to Spaceballs. That's a classic. You know, that'll get you a spacey mood. Maybe give you some name ideas for either ships or characters. And then, so I did see that there's mechs in Starfield, but apparently you can't use them. So maybe go back to Fallout 4, build a base, and then jump into Armored Core 6. That's gonna be a big one.
Ooh, okay.
But I'm always a huge fan of mechs. So like Gundam, Gundams and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. Like I said, the one ship in the video kind of looked like a giant Megazord. So obviously, Power Rangers, Voltron, all that stuff, Pacific Rim. So I'm all in on mechs. But so it was a little disappointing to hear. Hopefully in a DLC, maybe. I don't know, but
it's possible. Yeah, Bethesda always kind of likes to put the teases. The teases are there.
Yeah.
So the mechs are there. We can't use them. It's like,
what
if I could?
Was it Fallout 4 where you were in some kind of giant mech thing?
You had the vertibirds and the power armor of Liberty Prime. I don't think you go in Liberty Prime, but
you power it up and walk alongside it or something.
yeah, you
Yeah,
get to
that's
use
Fallout 3.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Fallout
Right?
3.
I don't think is Liberty Prime. No, Liberty Prime's not in Fallout 4.
It's not.
I don't think. I know it's in Fallout 3.
Okay, maybe it was just Fallout.
No, it's
3.
it's in Fallout 4.
Is it? What?
Yeah, Liberty Reprimed. One of the main scenario mission. It's Liberty Prime is in Fallout 4.
Oh gosh.
I
That's
was
embarrassing.
right. No.
No, you were absolutely.
Oh, good.
And then there's mods that let you play as Liberty Prime.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't get that. That might have been after, because if I saw that, I would have been all over it. But I think that would have been after I put it down, probably.
Oh, that's great. I love that. Love that.
Yeah.
So, Jason, before we close out here, we always afford our guests the opportunity to share any like social media handles. If you stream at all, where can we find you? Yeah,
No,
where can we
I
find
don't.
you?
I just kind of. I mean, I'm Bismarck here on Discord or Xbox, but other than that, I'm not really streaming or nothing. Maybe start with Starfield, right?
Sure.
And-
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the Space Buffoon, The Adventures of Tomfoolery.
That should be the ship name.
Oh,
The Space Buffoon.
Yeah, there you
Piloted
go.
by Captain Tomfoolery. You have it. All of the elements are
There
there.
you go. I'll do it then. Cool.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, just wanted to afford that opportunity since
I appreciate it.
we do
Yeah.
that for every guest.
I wish there was something there.
DeMarco, where can we find you?
DeMarco Dude on YouTube and on Twitter.
Cool.
That's it. Nice and sweet, nice and short. I was hoping that'd be nice.
Yeah, you're very good at that. Very succinct with your recommendations. This is not me stalling while I pull up our outro script. You can find us on X at LoreFieldNet, where we share news, analysis, and finds about the game. You can also join us at the Lore subreddit, r/Lorefield, and that's a place where you can share finds and have discussions with other community members, and it's so amazing to see all the activity that's going on there. We're on YouTube as Lorefield. You can subscribe for all of our podcasts, like the Lorefield podcast and some video content. I know Lexi's going to do a review as soon as the game drops. And of course, you can find more Lorefield podcasts over there. We also have a Discord. You can join us and some wonderful members of the Starfield community for lore discussion and more. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.